Yeah. Yes, recording in progress. Normally, I would usually wait for more people to join, but it's like people be joining in as the spirit leads for today. Welcome to the final book chat of the year. Whoop, whoop. We made it. Also, I want to send a special shout out to Bukola for holding down this Zoom something. I don't know. I'm shy,
Who
but
sent you a message? Please keep quiet and move on.
yes, but I'm still gonna do shout out because without you, man, like so kisses. Kisses. All right, y'all. Today we're discussing the secret lives of church ladies. And apparently I thought this was going to be like a book that we all, love, but it has mixed reactions. A lot of people from the IGDMs, the book was just and a few people from the book chats, from the WhatsApp group, are not particularly wowed by it. So honestly, I don't know where to start. But first of all, who listened to the audio, who read the book, and who did both? Right. Let's face. Okay.
I did both.
Okay.
I did audio.
Okay. I did
audio 3 times.
Wow, that's dedication. I just wanted to.
I like the book.
I actually like it too. I do. I listened to it twice. It was my last book of the year in 2021, and then I listened to it again this month, as we're reading it. So I was wondering if we could do a compare and contrast experience of the book, audio, or reading. Is there anybody that did just reading? Okay, Bukola.
I started with just reading. So I did just reading earlier on in the year, and I read it again. And then I did audio and reading together.
Okay.
And then I did audio alone. I think just reading, I liked it. I really liked it. The first two stories, the first time I read it, the first two stories, I was like, oh my God, okay, is this how the whole book is going to be like? Because I thought there wasn't depth to it. It was just about lost. But then the more I read it, the more I loved it. And when I did audio alone, I was just laughing. So I don't know if that's just because I had read the book before and, but I think generally the narrator was great. I loved the audio. But even reading it alone was good as well. It was a good book overall.
Okay. Kelsey says she did just reading. Millie also just read it. Kelsey, what's your experience of this book? Did you enjoy it? Let's see if you and Millie had the same experience.
Yeah, I really liked the book.
Okay.
My favorite stories was Peach Cobbler. How to
my second favorite.
Married a Christian one. The list of like when you're getting married. I like Jael too.
Okay.
So it was in and out. So some of the stories I was really into, and then some of them I was, but overall I really liked the book and I liked the conversation, just what it makes you think of, the double standards, how you deal with it, with religion. Yeah, so I liked that aspect of it a lot. I thought it was really good.
Okay. Good. Was somebody raising their hand? I saw a hand up. Wow, that was fast. Okay, no hand up. All right, so I guess we will just go into, I don't know if we can discuss the book one by one. I don't know if we should do that, but maybe we'll just start with our favorite stories and our least stories, a short story collection, and then later we'll get into questions about the collection as a whole. Omolola, your hand is already up. You have the floor. I can't hear you.
Oh, my bad. I've been talking to myself. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
What did you just do? People who didn't enjoy the book, or people who enjoyed the book, or how we read it?
Oh, no. Right now it's favorite stories first. Okay. Before we go into like the collection as a whole.
All right. So my favorite story was Dear Sister in this, just because I found the collection of the sisters hilarious, their personalities bouncing off against each other. And then the fact that you are writing this to someone who you're trying to bring into the family. So it could go one or two ways. Either she's like, no, I don't want any part of this circus, or like I would fit right in. But I just thought it was very descriptive. You could feel the love, even though, you know, everyone had their own
Issues.
you know,
It's a
yes,
very
going on.
dysfunctional family.
Then I also liked, well, so that was my favorite, but I liked Snowfall, and just because of the first line, it said Black women were not meant to, built to shovel snow. And as someone that has lived in a snow region, I laughed, because no, we're not built to shovel snow. And then I enjoyed also instructions for married Christian husbands. I just thought, okay, since you're in this scene, you must have your own rules, Abby. Okay. And yeah, so that was it. I enjoyed the book, but definitely listening to these three on audio really I guess brought out the dynamic. I know I made a comment that she's very sassy, and I believe Dear Sister needed that voice because she brought out each of the individual, even though it was one person writing to one person, I got the personality of all the sisters within that. So yeah, great choice, Samin.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay. Anyone else want to talk about their favorite stories? Okay, Ejiro.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, so I think my favorite was Peach Club. Let me take that again. My favorite was Peach Cobbler, and I feel like there's a lot to unpack in that particular story, and it's just the depth, and at the same time, it doesn't feel deep, but it's deep. So I really love that. And then I enjoyed Not Daniel, because of the grief aspect and how people tend to deal with grief. And I know I'm weird, but I kind of like when people write about grief, it's weird. And then Instructions for Married Christian Husbands. Like, I don't think you can, that was just flawless. It was fantastic.
I don't think I've ever read anything like that before.
I listened to it on the bus and I was laughing like a crazy person. I was that crazy person in the bus just laughing to herself. It was fantastic. And then Jael, I don't know how I feel about Jael, that ending. I think we need to unpack that together.
Okay.
But for the most part, I enjoyed it. This is my first time reading the collection and I like it.
Oh, cool. Cool. Anime. Hiya.
Hi everyone. So I really enjoyed the collection as a whole. I don't think there's a single story that I didn't like. And I feel like that's really rare for short story collections, because there's usually at least 1 or 2 or 3 stories that you're just not feeling. But for this collection, pretty much every story was pretty good. You know, some were better than others, but they were all good. They're all beautiful in their own ways. But my favorites were Dear Sister. That was like my #1 favorite. I also really enjoyed How to Make Love to a Physicist.
Ooh,
I found it
really. I like that one.
Yeah, I thought it was really comforting. It was sort of like having like a really warm hug that, you know, that you've been waiting for a long time to get. And I also really liked Snowfall. So Lola, we have 2 in common, Dear Sister and Snowfall. I quite connect.
Hey, evil spirits.
To Snowfall a lot. There was this one time I was at a bus stop and it was snowing and it was super cold, and it was Christmas break and I was like one of the few people still on campus. That was back when I was in college. And I started crying because I was cold, I was missing home, I was miserable. And I just started crying at the bus stop by myself. And so Snowfall like really hit hard. I was like, I feel you. I really, really feel you.
Okay.
And then I also really liked Jael, honorable mention. The ending was a little, I don't know about murder, but like I found her to be a really interesting character, like to be so independent and know what you want at such a young age. I thought that was really compelling. Yeah. loved it in general. Loved the whole collection.
Okay. Or is that your hand was up? You disappeared. I don't know what happened, but I saw your hand up.
I'm back. I'm back. Hi.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Okay. Hi,
My
Dio.
favorite, I like the book. I like the book, and I think I read it 3 times. Audio. The narrator is fantastic.
Mhm.
My favorite kind of book to read are short stories. So, I mean, this was just right down my alley, and I really enjoyed every minute of it. My favorite was How to Love a Physicist. The story is very relatable. It could have been me talking about myself and my body insecurity issues and the need to just, to be vulnerable at the same time, not give so much of yourself, and then you want so much, So I loved that was just me talking in that story. Then I liked the Dear Sister vibe, and like Lola was saying, the fact that she was so open and funny and telling it all to a total stranger.
Yeah.
About a deadbeat father, and I couldn't stop laughing when she asked at the end of the story that, are you pregnant? Because their grandma had been dreaming about fish and all that. Then I also liked Peach Cobbler quite a lot. Because it also reminded me of American, the other story. What's it called?
Dio.
Sparrow, something like Silver Sparrow.
Dio, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to ask before you continue.
Yes, I can.
Has anybody had peach cobbler before? Because I don't know what it tastes like. Okay, Lola has had it. Bukola has had it.
Well,
okay.
Anime has had it. Well, as I haven't, but in my mind, I kind of imagined that it would be like a pineapple upside down cake or something.
Okay.
Because it has the peach is made. The peach is a fruit, and then it also has pastry or something. So I'm thinking it would probably be like a pineapple upside down or an apple tart or something. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it is.
Okay, I only Googled pictures.
But I imagined it to be.
It looks sweet.
It will probably be too sweet, really, if you think about it. It will probably be too sweet.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, so I quite enjoyed the book. I don't understand the people who say they don't like it.
I'm waiting for them to come on.
But I can't, maybe because of the title, but maybe we thought it would be a bit more religious, or maybe a bit more with, I don't know, spiritual stories, or maybe it's our Niger-ness that is making us feel that it's not about Christian sisters. I don't know, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. Well, Millie is going to share her thoughts with us very soon. Clementine, is it Clementine or Clementine? It's Clementine.
Hi everybody. It's Clementine.
Clementine, yes. Okay. Hi. This is your first time joining book club, yeah?
Yes, this is my first time.
Oh, okay. All right. Welcome.
Thank you, and I'm very excited to be discussing about this.
Welcome.
Thank you. I loved the book. I really enjoyed almost all the stories. But let me mention my favorites. Eula was a favorite. How to Love a Physicist was really, really, really nice. The Jael was good. This book was actually my first ever audiobook, and it was brilliant.
That's a good way to start.
I thought it was fantastic. Exactly. I thought it really made me excited for audiobooks. And like I have this part that is stuck in my head where Jael is told by her friend, he ain't worth it. He ain't worth it. That is really stuck in my head because I was just listening to it earlier. So yeah, I really liked the book. It's fantastic.
Okay. Thank you. Oiza, you have the floor.
Yes, sorry. I raised my hand before, but something came up.
Okay.
I love the book. I feel that maybe if each story had their own book specifically, maybe the people that said they didn't enjoy it, they would have loved it more. I mean, the story speaks volumes about the restrictions placed on Black women, their sexuality, their bodies, and how the church tries to break them rather than heal them. Yeah, I loved everything. Peach Cobbler also is my favorite. It's actually the strongest story for me and the one that will stick with me the longest. The grief, the sex, the mother-daughter relationship, and how to make love to a physicist. The comparison between science and God, it was very, very catchy. Yeah.
That was interesting. That was actually interesting. Okay. Millie is gathering her thoughts about stories she did not really enjoy, but you have the floor because we're not ganging up on you. Okay, this is a safe space. We just want to understand your point of view. So take your time. When you're ready, come and share why the book did not, like wow you or anything. Also, what expectations did anybody have when going into this book for the first time? Those who read it for the first time, what expectations were in your head? Did you have any or did you go in blind? Okay, Bukola, we'll start with you.
Okay, I went in blind, but I like stories that have, for someone that loves literary fiction and historical fiction. I like historical fiction because you can go back and check, there's depth there, and literary, I like good writing. So when I first read the first two stories, I was really anticipating, I was really looking forward to reading it. So when I read the first story, I was like, okay, I think I understand these two ladies and all that, but apart from their desire for love and one's desire for love and the fact that they were having sex and all that, I didn't see much depth in it. I was like, okay. Then I read the second one, which was the one where they were in hospital, and yes, there was grief. I just thought to myself, okay, is this a pattern? Is there going to be very shallow depth and everything's just going to be about making out or, having sex and all that? So I wasn't too keen on finishing it. Then I picked it up again. And then by the time I read the third one, I was like, okay, I don't remember which one's the third one now, but I was like, that's getting better. But when I got to How to Love a Physicist, I was like, now this is love. I'm a true romantic at heart. I love love. And I think in the first two, especially the one when they were in hospital, I understand the grief part, I understand that, but I didn't see love. I just saw, let's just do this to get our minds off what's happening. So when I got to How to Love a Physicist, that was pure love, because I like the fact that even when she wasn't ready, he was, he was such a patient man and all that. And for me, that just made me love the book again. And then I loved all the other stories. And I think I kind of had a mindset reshift. So when I read it again, I actually liked the first two again. And I could see the other things that were in there. So I'm just saying this. I think maybe some of the people that didn't like it, maybe they thought it was just about, like, maybe they didn't see, because that was me, the first two stories, I didn't see the depth. But after I liked the book and I went back to read those first two stories, I actually liked those first two stories as well. Seeing the other things, not just the making out, not just the sex, not just all of that. And like the second story, the one, Dear Daniel or Not Daniel, one of the things I saw is it shows the difference between men and women, like when they finished and she was like, were you worried that one of the mothers would die? And he said, I was trying to give you the best sex of your life. I can't do both at the same time. I can't be thinking about my mother and having sex with you. But that's how, as a woman, you take everything you are into a relationship, even if it's just a sexual relationship. And the guy just wants to
he just wants to
exactly. He just wants to go, so I thought that was funny. And, also thinking about the fact that how would they have felt if one of them, and when she said that he wore a ring, but looking in his eyes, and when she didn't want to look at him, and he said, no, look at me, be here. And she looked into his eyes and she said she didn't see his wife, she didn't see his children, So it's easy that when people have extramarital affairs or when people cheat on people, we blame them and we say that, but it's thinking about what's going through their minds when they're doing it and kind of having empathy for them, not saying that what they did was right, but having that kind of empathy and seeing how people are. So I love the book, and I think generally it's deeper than you think. So maybe the people that didn't like it think it's not deep. but it's deeper than you think. And as Ejiro said, I'd like us to go into that Jael story and really break it down. I had to go and look at Jael in the Bible, that what did Jael do? Because that name, because some people say that, no, maybe she didn't kill, maybe this. I said, well, go and read about the real name in the Bible and see what the person did. So that's it.
Okay. Lola, your aunt's up.
Yeah, so this was my very first time picking up the book, and I'd seen it all over social media, but I didn't read any reviews, and I was judging it by its cover. So I was expecting Southern Baptist old women with black hats, gossiping around some, Sunday dinner, well, I don't want to say typical Black American experience, but that's what I was expecting. So I was pleasantly surprised that the book really centers on relationships and women, those connections and the choices we make, the thought processes behind those choices. And I really like the depth with which she reached into each character. So they weren't on surface level, oh, I'm just doing these things, I'm going through the motions. They were really deep thoughts, and you could sort of process whoever it was, where they were coming from, and sort of insert yourself into their place. The one friend who realizes that she's a certain way, but the other friend still believes, whether she's bisexual or not wanting to acknowledge that we've been in this relationship for XYZ number of years, but you're still looking for a husband. And then the hurt on the other friend's side. And then not Daniel, two strangers meeting, and as a result of their shared tragedy, form a connection. Sisters, strangers, but there's a common thread between us. So whether I don't know you or not, there's kinship, and I'm going to tell you all our dirt. And that theme sort of went through the whole book, sort of this relationship, and I thoroughly enjoyed all the stories. And I think primarily because I started reading it, and then I had to switch to audio because I didn't have time to sit, and it snapped and made all the difference for me. So I was pleasantly surprised. I was glad that this has made up for my dark Vanessa. Yeah. So those were my thoughts.
Okay, Ejiro, expectations.
So the very first time I read this book, I started with the audio, and I went into it not knowing it was a collection of short stories. So imagine my surprise when I'm like, this book sounds very disjointed. Like, is this a different character in the same story? And then I found out, read the physical book, enjoyed it, went back to the audio, knowing what to expect, enjoyed it. Like Eula, I believe that's how the name is pronounced. I think Omolola already covered this when she's talking about like the Eula herself being torn about like still wanting a husband, not wanting to admit to herself that she's most likely a lesbian, right? Maybe bisexual at the least. Not wanting to admit to herself, and but the part in that story that really got me was a couple of paragraphs where the friend is talking about like normal according to who? Like, are you talking about like men who had been dead for thousands of years who thought slavery was cool, or is it the men that interpreted the first men? And it all of that is very I found it very interesting because I grew up in the church, like grew up in the church, and it's only like as a late teen, early adult that I started like finding my own independence from that. And I've learned over years to question certain things. Like, I still believe in God, but church itself, like the concept of church and church doctrines, because every church has their own doctrine. I question a lot. So that part really like stood out to me in that story. For the Not Daniel bit, there was a bit about something about like what they found, like the souls they found with each other, like when they're together, they are not like that sibling who is taking care of everything. They're not like the money machine. They're just people. And I think ultimately that was what they found in each other, just that solace of someone seeing me, not seeing me as the person who has to look after mom, the person who has to pay the bills, the person who has to make the arrangements, the person who has to do all of these things. But this person just sees me as the person who is suffering.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that empathy and that human connection is what really sold the story to me. Like, it's grief, it's horrible, it's, you know, people process in different ways. Not to condone what they did because he was married, but I can understand the need and the relief of seeing someone that sees you in your suffering without attaching any other thing to it. So that story stood out for me. Peach Cobbler. I wanted to fight. Because there was a part, honestly, the first time I read the book, I made a note, I wrote in the book, I'm like, why would her mother not just bake her a peach cobbler pie? Like, why would
all
she
that
just give this girl
effort?
a pie to eat? I was so pained. Dear Sister was just fantastic all around. I laughed a lot. It was, if I was the sister they were writing to, my answer would be yes, I absolutely want to be a part of this story, because in as much as the sisters, like, they're very different, they see things differently. When it came down to the crunch of it, they had each other's back. And the two unlikely sisters are the ones that came together to say, oh no, you're not going to do our sister that way. So that for me was fantastic. I actually wish they had kicked the man in his balls too, because I know people like that. So yeah, How to Make Love to a Physicist, fantastic. Jaya, when you guys are ready, I have thoughts. I have thoughts and questions. Then the last one, When Eddie Lovett Comes, that was bittersweet for me. It was really bittersweet because, one, on the end of dementia, that is something that actually terrifies me.
Yeah.
That someone you love would actually forget about you. Like, they don't even remember that you exist. That is frightening for me personally. But the fact that, and I could see how, like, even in that her state, she did not really, like, remember her daughter.
Yeah.
Because it almost felt like she did not raise her daughter to begin with, like, through the upbringing. But I also feel like that is transferred, like, trauma or whatever onto the daughter, like projection rather. So yeah, but ultimately loved it.
Okay. Oiza, your hand is still up.
Yeah, I relate to what Ejiro said, because when it comes to books that has to do with religion, I do not like to pick them up because I have very conflicting reviews or feelings. So 97% of the times when I pick up books, I do not read the blog or whatever. If I had maybe thought that this book would be about religion, maybe I wouldn't have picked it up. But I went in blind, and it was so good. And according to what Lola said, yes, I think it is very Black, very Southern, the women, the stories with the complicated lives and experience. And I feel the author really did an excellent job because she brought out hypocrisy of church leadership. Intersection of class, race, sex, religious belief. And these stories are very fragile. The relationships, the children, the parental neglect, according to Ejiro, why couldn't she prepare a peach cobbler for the child? The self-love, the rebellion, it was beautiful. Very tender stories.
Nice. Okay. Now I'm more excited.
I have one question. One question. How many people here like clocked it? Because me, I think this is, in fact, even if the author says it's not true,
the network was a bit shifty. I didn't hear your question.
Oh, okay. So my question is, how many of you noticed that instructions for Christian married husbands is like the part 2 of Peach Cobbler?
Yes, I was waiting to bring that up. Yeah,
I agree.
I was going to bring that up.
Okay. Sorry, yes. I saw your thunder.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I saw that. Okay. So far, Jarrell is like the story everybody wants to dissect, so we're just going to jump into that. I saw some questions from the author's websites, some book club kit or something. And I'm going to start with like the last question on the list. If Granny
Millie
came
is ready. Millie that doesn't like it is ready.
all right.
She's ready
Okay.
for us.
Okay.
Yeah, Millie, we're ready.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Millie.
Okay, I'll keep it short and sweet.
Okay.
Well, short, because I have this crazy cough.
Oh,
If you hear me
sorry.
crying, you guys will run away. And I don't want to scare guys. So it's not that I hated the book. Let me just make that clear.
Okay.
I recognize how you call it. I recognize the fact that this is a talented writer. Yeah, in the WhatsApp chat, I compared this book to another collection of short stories, which I won't mention. I mean, let me just say, the writing on that side is not good. I can tell the difference, so I acknowledge the writing for this one is really good. I just was not, the stories didn't grab me. I didn't want to come back to read them. I finish a story, I go read something else. I'm like, I have to finish this book for book club. Yeah. So
did you go into it blind though? Did you go into it blind?
What does that mean, blind?
Like, did you know anything about the book, the synopsis?
I didn't know anything. No, I did not. I had not seen all these recommendations. I have to say, frankly, this is not a book I would have picked up because I'm more interested in African stories. I don't know if that sounds bad, but that's the truth. Can you edit this out and you post it online, please?
No, it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah. So I think the other thing which might have thrown me off a little bit was the title. Okay. Just the church ladies part. I recognize the way she has brought in the church aspect is not by centering the stories in the church, but by and she does it with a very light touch, referencing, whether it's the Bible or different phrases from the Bible or church goings, church comings. That's how she does it. So maybe it was the title. Okay. Maybe I expected the settings in the church. So the stories just didn't grab me. To pick my favorite ones, I enjoyed Eula, the first one, and I enjoyed Jael the most. Yeah, I thought Jael was a very well told story. I enjoyed the two different points of view.
Okay.
And the other thing I respect about the book is that she's talking about people women who are expected to live a certain way, but some have the strength to just go out and live the way they choose to. But it's essentially, as I understood it, the story of people living on the margins because society has ostracized them, in quotes, because of the circumstances they find themselves in, not circumstances that they chose.
Yeah. So
I respect this, the storytelling about, lesbianism, choosing each other, chosen family. I respect that. So that's what I would say. This is not a book I would read again, unfortunately. And I don't think I will remember these characters. Okay. Sadly. Except Jael. Jael was maybe the book was just not it's a quiet there are quiet narratives. And that's what makes the Jael one stand out. Because that one is very loud, especially with that ending. So perhaps that was what I
see where you're coming from now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I didn't hate it. Yeah.
Okay.
So no 3 heads and stuff like that, please.
Okay.
Is that why you didn't show your face, Millie? I was just joking.
No, I look even worse than I sound.
We crack a lot of jokes here.
All right. So. we also have another first timer here in Coco. Your hand is up. You have the floor. Okay.
Hi, I just wanted to quickly just, because everyone has been talking about the title, and in light of what Millie said, I just wanted to point out that the title is perfect for the book because, as Millie pointed out, it's a very, very Black Southern American book. So the title, Secret Lives of Church Ladies is very apt, because all the stories, if you've lived in the South, you recognize all these stories from, because especially in the South, they're very, very church oriented. Everything revolves around the church. And all these things happen with the church being at more or less the center of it. So I for me, the stories made the title tied all the stories together. And Millie, I just wanted to ask, I feel like you resonated with Jael the most, because as you said you like African writers. And I feel like Jael was the one that most sounds like something that could come from an African writer, could happen in an African home, while all the others have all these elements that they have all these deep Black American elements to it. And well, anyway, I'm known for being who I am, so I'm just gonna say it. I feel like I'm not surprised at the people who, I was interested in listening to what Millie had to say, because I was expecting that the stories would make people uncomfortable, because she doesn't shy away from, again, it ties to the title. She doesn't shy away from a lot of things that we see as, well, Africans see as, I don't know how to put it. I'm just going to say respectability, because there is the closet lesbian, there is people having affairs and all these things. And I don't know. But yeah, I enjoyed the book. Okay. The book, I liked it. It was really good writing. It was biting, and probably because I lived I lived in Texas for a long time, and so I get it. I know what she's talking about. These experiences are familiar. But yes, the writing, I'm glad everyone acknowledged that the writing was excellent. She's a really good writer, and I am looking forward to anything else that she writes. But yeah, the reason I spoke at all was because I just needed to point out that, yeah, the title, the title was very apt. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Millie, your hand is still up. Do you have a response?
Actually, I did not, but okay. I just wanted to, but now that I'm speaking, I just wanted to ask, just in response to what Impoko said, what if you don't have an understanding of what is it called? The Black South, is that the correct phrase to use?
No, I understand. That's what I'm saying. Like, I understand what you were saying, because yeah, okay, for me, a lot of it was that I could, like, for example, it didn't even occur to me that people wouldn't know peach cobbler until asked, because I was like, oh, peach cobbler, oh my God, I haven't had peach cobbler in so long. You know what I mean? So like that's what I'm saying, Millie. Like, I didn't like, it was a bit selfish of me, because it didn't even occur to me that, oh my goodness, there may be some people who wouldn't recognize, like, who wouldn't be able to identify with this experience. So it's not, I'm not in any way, like, I get it. Like, I'm actually, that's what I'm sorry that it didn't come across. Like, I'm acknowledging that, yeah, that's true, that many people may not have been able to identify with it, because it's not like, it's not something that you, but then for me, it's like, we want other people to read African writing, you know? And one of the reasons, and I'm sure all of us here love Jennifer Makumbi, and one of the reasons I love her is because she's unapologetically African. She doesn't try to explain anything. She expects you to, figure it out. But then again, yeah, we like her because we feel like she's writing to just us. Yeah. And if outside want to come in, they can. So there's also that. But yes, I do agree that, yeah, if you don't get it, it's understandable. And it's not, it's in no way, because, it's in no way like, what's the word? It's not bad that you don't get it, because yes, it really was like, you really needed to be able to, like, for a lot of the stories, you needed to have that experience, or at least have an understanding of that experience to resonate, for the stories to resonate with you. You know what? So
yeah, I like that you brought up Makumbi, because, but the way that Makumbi writes, she's unapologetically Ugandan.
Yeah.
But you get it, or maybe I think you do get it. She doesn't write in a way that
because I'm not Ugandan, and even me, there are some things that I have trouble understanding. I'm only using the fact that I'm African to get it. So there's also that. Like, I'm just pointing out that, yeah, we like her, and we like her for being unapologetically Ugandan. I'm glad that you said Ugandan. I used African, but yes, you're unapologetically Ugandan. So yeah, there's also that.
Do you, and I guess everybody else, because I see a clear difference between, since we're using Makumbi as an example, and these short stories, and I haven't yet read Makumbi's her short story collection. I guess I should do that next and then compare. But do you feel like so with Makumbi, you don't need to have experienced Uganda. You experience it in her book. Mm-hmm. Even though you don't understand a lot of the phrasings that she uses, a lot of the, how do you say? I don't know, a lot of the local examples, the slang that she uses, exactly. But you experience Uganda. I don't feel like that came through in this book for me. I'm in the minority because everybody else here has been connected. And
sorry, I've read I've read her collection of short stories, and the truth is, if you're not African, there are things that I had to explain to people who I encouraged to read the book.
So they're similar.
So they're similar in the sense that if you are not completely keyed into that experience, there are things that are going to go over your head.
Okay.
So yeah,
Also, Millie, you said you're in the minority, that a lot of people here have experienced like the Black South. I'm in the minority with you. I've not been to America. I did not know what a peach cobbler was until I read this book.
No. I mean, I'm in the minority in that I'm actually the only one. Everybody here enjoyed the book, even though not everybody.
Right. No, I thought you were talking about like how if like those who related to the book.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Because I didn't exactly relate. I just like appreciated and enjoyed, but I can't say I related to anything in the book, really. Yeah.
That's the perfect description. Appreciating, and just you may not relate because obviously, I mean, but then again, I mean, well, Amina and Kobe are responsible for this. I've been reading a lot of Indian and a lot of Asian literature lately, and obviously I can't relate at all because unlike other places that I read from, I've never been there. Mm-hmm. You know, so I have a very odd upbringing. I'm African, Caribbean, and American. So, you know, when I read stories from those regions, obviously they all make sense to me because I'm like, oh, you know, it's part of something that I've experienced. But with Asian literature, it's completely foreign, but I still get it. Like, not get it, but I can still, for example, as you said, Millie, you appreciated the writing. I recognize good writing because good writing is good writing regardless of who's doing it. Mm. And then even if a cultural reference isn't, I don't get it. Well, I mean, it's not going to stop me from enjoying good writing.
True.
True. That way.
Mm. Okay. Lola, your hand is up, and Bukola. Okay, Lola, go first.
I just have a comment, and I appreciate Millie's right to not like the book, and I totally understand on all cylinders exactly where she's coming from. The type of reader I guess I am is not that I lower my expectations of books, and it is that serious, but then again, for me, some things are just, you know, hey, by the way. And a lot of the book was very Black, and I made a comment in the chat that it's church folk. So when you hear people gossiping about church folk, these are the stories they're telling. So maybe also not having a frame of reference, and also the Makumbi angle.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to say. You're absolutely right. Yes, the stories are gossip. Like if you're sitting in church, those are the stories that you'll be hearing. You're right. Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
Right. And then the Makumbi angle, we've even heard Jennifer, President, say herself that people want to explain her. So I guess we also need to appreciate that when it's not every book that we're going to totally get or like. And that's why, you know, we are here, we're interacting, and that's why we join book club for different perspectives. And I totally get it, because the beginning of the book, in my mind, I was like, oh, I hope this is not just going to be about people, you know, having sex and, you know, like hood street American stories that can become a bit laborious on the hood rat life and stuff like that. In my mind, I'm like, oh, please don't let this be that book. So when I went into it, then I switched to the audio, and her voice just did it for me, telling the story. So that's just my perspective on this. It is very Black. But very funnily so, because I think I met one or two of these people in life, and I was just like, oh, that's it.
Okay, Bukola.
So similar to what Lola was saying, I think, and this is not me defending the book also, because as I said, even from the beginning, I wasn't too, but I could tell, even though I don't live in America, I live in the UK, and British culture is very, very different from American culture. But from a lot of things we see in America, they're very churchy, just like Nigerians. We're very religious, always church and all that. But then there's some things that we do that other people will look at and say, but if you're a Christian, why are you doing that? But for us, that's just how we are. And for me, I was just thinking, other books I've read about Americans, about Southern especially, and I watched Greenleaf on Netflix, and this is just like Greenleaf. It's like, these people that wear their best clothes and put up their best. So they have all these secrets, all these things going on, the ones that are gay, the ones that are sleeping with each other. So I think this is what this book was. Although in all fairness, if I put my church hat on, I'm like thinking, but they can't all be like this now. But this is talking about the secrets. So it's bringing out the bad, bringing out the ones that are hidden, not necessarily trying to represent everyone. So for me, I think that's one of the reasons I liked it. I was like, oh my God. The only thing I would say about this is that apart from when they went to church, they were not all linked to church, you know? So even though it's called The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, there's some of them that you think, are they actually church ladies or not? Because it talked about different things, but didn't link them with church. And I think that was the only thing I thought. But for me, I don't think you have to have known, even the pitch coupler, the way it was described, the way it was, I mean, just like somebody writing about, when we read Butter, Honey, Pig Bread, how many people know about Mosa? Yes, you may have had jollof rice, but there's so many things that you see in the book and you read around it and you get an idea of what the thing is. And so I don't think there was any part of that book that you really need to know. And then comparing it to Jennifer, she actually put, Ugandan words in it that she didn't want to. And I love that, but in this is just English. Yes, the culture is completely different from what you know, but to answer a question in the chat, I don't think you need to be able to relate to something to enjoy it. So that's just my aspect for it. The only thing I had initially was just that bit of, there was a lot of writing about, it wasn't love, it was lost. And then that came round, and then, well, generally, I enjoyed it. And as I said, when I changed my mindset, even the ones I thought I didn't like, I liked them again. So maybe Millie can read it again or listen to it on audio.
No, we're not doing that to Millie. As we're entering 2022, if any book did not ban, we're not doing that again. Like,
negative.
We're not stressing.
You saw Millie's comment. She found Greenleaf boring. So definitely don't try to reread this book.
Please do not.
Don't.
Gets it, because I loved Greenleaf. I actually love Greenleaf.
Okay, so I'm gonna try Greenleaf
too.
I guess. I hope it's not too long. How many seasons?
I mean, we're not recommending
you finish it. No. Let her read it. Watch it too.
Why
she will
not?
like it. No, she will like it too.
Okay, all right.
Please, who else has watched Greenleaf?
I stopped at season 3, and
really?
I feel like yes, because so I stopped at season 3 just because the one I was waiting for the season to come out because I was following it, right? And then by the time season 3 came out, I was just like, okay, a lot of things is no longer making sense for me. Well, okay, to be fair, the part I had the problem with was when I think after everything, she decided to stay, and then there was that accident of someone dying, and I was just like, it's no longer, it did not make sense to me according to the way her character was introduced to us in the beginning. I thought at that point she would have left. And
I just wanted to see where Reverend will end up.
It was just becoming too much. And I was just like, you know what?
But don't worry, I mean, season 1 and 2 is like church ladies.
Yeah.
All right.
Season 1 and 2 is like church ladies.
I can
give it a
and
go.
Lynn Whitfield is magnificent. Lynn Whitfield, I live for her.
They're mad.
I live for Lynn Whitfield in
She's a great actress. Yeah.
She was just a first lady.
Okay. Anyway, your hand is up. Your hand is up.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna comment on the whole, like, being able to relate to stories that are set in places that we're not familiar with. For me, I don't think it's like, I don't think you necessarily have to relate to like the particular stories, the particular occurrences in the stories that you're reading. I find it more important to relate to the themes, the general themes of the book. And I thought it was really easy to do that with this short story collection. When I was reviewing it on Goodreads, I mentioned that I could tell that this was a love letter to Black American women, but that the themes are so universal that Black women everywhere would be able to find at least one story that they could relate to. Because there were themes of, you know, like what mother-daughter relationships are like for Black women. I found that super relatable for like my personal stories.
Yeah.
What like relationships between single and single women who are seen as loose, as the kind of women you would not want your daughters to be like.
Yeah.
What it is like being a Black teenager, a young Black girl, wanting to break away from the demands that your family puts on you, wanting to be independent. I found there so many themes that are just so universal that anyone could relate to. So you might not have had peach cobbler, for example, but you can relate to the theme of the whole story, maybe not personally, but being like, I know someone in my community whose parents maybe were like, you know, sleeping around with married men, and maybe they were neglecting their own children while, you know, trying to find love from different men. Like that could be something that you've seen happen to other people, not personally, but that you've heard stories that are quite similar.
Yep.
So for me, I just found the whole collection just relatable in a very like general sense, in a sense of I've seen these stories around me. They might not have happened to me personally, but I can pinpoint, oh, I know a person who's just like that. I know a person who's just like that. Maybe this has happened to me in a different setting, in a different way. But yeah, I found it all relatable in general.
Okay. Fair. Time to dissect Jael now. Okay. So I'm going to keep it short because, you know, it's the last book club, but doesn't mean we should do past ourselves. Now, the question I wanted to ask was, if Granny came to you asking for advice regarding what Jael did to Jamie, what would you tell her? Does anybody want to go first? Anybody?
So on first thought, and this is just, people should bear with me. My first thought when I was reading this book, the first thing that came to my mind is, I'm turning her in. But then after sitting with it for a while, and then I told myself, I said, okay, be honest. So what would you do? I'm like, I'm going to ride with you till the wheels fall off. We are covering this up. You were not out last night. You were in here. We had dinner together. We went to bed together. We woke up together. As far as everybody knows, you and your friend just had a fallout, and that's it. And we're going to keep it moving. But at the same time, I'm worried because even the way her grandma described that, and I don't know if it's fair, You know how the grandma would always say she has the devil in her, or something is not wrong with this child, something's not right with this child, rather. I felt, and also because of how she did it, how calculated she was, it makes me think that she might be a psychopath.
You thought did occur.
Because she was so calm, she was so calculated. She went there with the intention to do that. Like she was, which is why she wanted him to brush his teeth, in as much as she didn't like the smell of cigarette, but she needed him to be gone longer. And then she did that and went out, and it was just, I don't know, it was too calculating for me for a child or someone in their pre-teens, that it made me just feel like, this might be the first, but I don't think this would be the last time something like this would happen. And also, secondly, she did it because she felt like maybe her friend was paying more attention to this guy. It wasn't because this guy did anything particularly bad to her friend. Let us not talk about the Agbara. Because that, let's not even go there. That one is his own problem. But I felt like she just thought like, oh, her friend likes this guy. Her friend is spending more time with this guy, always wants to talk to this guy, and she's just like, I'm going to take care of it. That bothered me a lot. And you know, there was a part where she said, I think she was telling her friend, I'm just looking out for you, and her friend is like, I can take care of myself, and she's like, but she can't though. And I'm just like, this attachment is not maybe I've watched too many crime movies, but it's not adding up. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I agree that she's a psychopath, but no, she did not. She wasn't because she was jealous. She recognized that he was a predator. She recognized that he was a predator. I need you to read that story again. She recognized that he was a predator. It doesn't matter what the friend was saying. It was obvious that the friend thought that, oh, he's just going to take it. There's no way. She recognized
it. I agree with you that she did recognize that.
I agree her methods were unhinged, but
exactly.
I'm sure, in her, hold on, she's a child. In her little mind, she figured because she's a psychopath, but she's also a child, she figured the only way to save her friend was to get rid, like that was the only way. It didn't occur to her that she could have reported to her grandmother. She probably thought her grandmother wouldn't believe her. She probably thought that the girl's parents wouldn't listen to her. She felt maybe the girl would stop talking to her because remember, at a point when she told the girl that the guy was gross, she didn't, the friend stopped speaking to her. Honestly, when I was reading the story, I thought what would happen was that when she got into the house, she would create a scenario where the friend would walk in and see that this guy he's just looking for young girls to prey on. I didn't expect her to kill him off. But I honestly do not think that it was just a case of she wanted her friend to herself.
Can I just mention something? Sorry, I know there are people that have their hands up, but I think after reading this book, just after reading My Dark Vanessa, I actually really agree with Impoko, because I just thought that Vanessa needed a friend like that. We'll go and deal with that person. I think for me, that's what I was thinking. She probably could have done it in a better way, or she shouldn't have done what she did. But I agree that she saw something that her friend didn't see.
Okay, so I agree with what has been said, but two things can be true. I believe, yes, she was trying to protect her friend because she thought the guy was a predator, but I still believe that even if it wasn't that guy, even if it was a guy her age, because he was taking that much time away from the friend, away from their friendship, I believe the same outcome would be true. Like, I feel like two things can be true here. I think both things are true.
There are examples. She started off by referring to guys that were her age that were hitting on the friend, and she didn't have a problem with it. Read the story again.
The problem is not hitting on. The problem is not hitting on the friend. It's not guys hitting on the friend. I think the problem is when it becomes the time being taken away from their friendship.
She talked about how the friend always had boyfriends, but that this one was different because he was an older person. She talked about her classmates. She talked about all the guys the friend used to be with, but they were her age. Because I remember, because a lot of the conversation, a lot of the way she spoke about the man was because of his age.
Kelsey just mentioned he was 35.
Yeah,
when
he
she
was.
Yeah, he
35.
was.
And
Yeah.
she didn't know that. She didn't know that. She didn't refer to him as 35. It was the grandmother who did. But if you read how Jael talked about the man, it was obvious. She was like, what is this? What does this man think he's doing with my friend? Like, she realized that there was something off about the whole, oh, he likes me thing. Like, she couldn't voice it. And again, I want to point out that this was really good writing, because she really did speak in the voice of a teenager, and I'm really impressed by that. But yeah, she definitely knew there was something wrong with this particular one. It wasn't just because, oh, I want my friend to myself. Because there was a time she also she cut her off. I remember when the friend needed someone to vouch for her or something, and she didn't speak to her. So it wasn't just, oh, I want my friend all to myself. Again, no question that she's a psychopath. But I feel that in this instance, it wasn't just and this is just by the story. Although yes, I mean I like Jael. I like her. Correct, babe.
Okay, someone Millie mentioned that, but Jael was out here flirting with Sweet Sadie, an older woman wanting to see her naked.
She wasn't flirting with her. She didn't. Everything was in her head. Don't forget that. All these conversations with the older woman was in her head. It wasn't anything she acted on.
Okay, Clementine, the hand is up. Hey, Jiri, are you done? Sorry, shoot. Okay.
So, okay, I think also, yeah, Jael may be a psychopath. She needs to get diagnosed. But you can tell, like, there's a time when the grandmother is telling a story about, I think someone was hitting on Jael and tried to grab her. And then she all of a sudden came out with like a broken bottle or something, and she was about to cut this person. And her friend was like, he ain't worth it. He ain't worth it. Yeah. And so yeah, Jael, like she wasn't playing. She wasn't playing with these people. So I don't think like she was pretty much jealous. I think she was just being protective, over her friend, and just wanted to keep her safe from this grown man who was a predator. Yeah, and I don't know, like the grandmother was a bit like, I don't know, she would talk about Jael, like Jael is not her granddaughter. I don't know. It was like, this girl, like, what did she, and I thought she would be the perfect alibi for Jael, because Jael came to bed, that night and slept in her bed. So I'm like, yeah, just stand up for the girl, take care of her. Like we were with her. We slept with her the whole night, Yeah, like that's what you do for family, Anyway, so I thought, yeah, like that would be the obvious thing to do. Yeah, because I don't think anyone deserves to die, but I'm not so sad that that guy died. Yeah,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Anime, your hand is up.
Right. On the question of whether Jael is a psychopath or not, I think that's something that only a doctor would be able to tell, to diagnose her. But I think it's very possible because I was just looking back at the story, and there's this, at the very end, there's this section that says, I keep some stuff to myself. This is Jael. I keep some stuff to myself, sometimes forever, sometimes till the time is right. I just let people think I don't know what's going on. And then when they least expect it, I strike. And I feel like that's just like, it's premeditated. It's something she thought about when she went to kill this man. Like whether or not, yes, he was a predator, 100%, pedophile. That's not to be questioned. But this is something she had thought about, She premeditated it, she planned it, and she executed it. So I don't think it was just a matter of protecting her friend. I also think there's definitely something wrong with her up there. Like she wasn't, she wasn't like what you would call normal. So whatever her thoughts were about Sweet Sadie, like the pastor's wife, she never acted on that. Sadie didn't act on that. So I don't think that should really come into that should come into account of about whether or not she was thinking about her friend and her friend's safety and stuff, because that was something separate that she never acted on. But this dude acted on his feelings with Jael's friend. And so she, as Jael's friend, wanted to protect her, but I think it was definitely something more than that. It was maybe something she'd wanted to do for a while anyway, to kill someone.
Hey.
So yeah, there's
kind of like a Dexter, vibe.
Exactly. Like Dexter was always killing people. He was killing bad people, but he was still murdering people.
Yeah.
He was still, it was like an excuse to commit murder. And I feel like that's, I really wanted this story to be a bit longer because I wanted to learn something about Jael. I felt like the author here, she definitely left us hanging.
Okay. Short stories tend to do that, leave you wanting more. Bawa-allah, your hand is up.
Yeah, so I think for Jael, where it snapped was where he made a pass at, where she snapped was where he made a pass at her. I think, for all intents and purposes, she probably disdained him as a man, since, the author is trying to tell us she's not men inclined. So I think it snapped for her when he was looking at her lewdly and he made a pass and she was like, okay, fine, I'll see you. And probably a crime of opportunity as well. She didn't quite know what she was going to do. And, you know how you're sitting somewhere and things just come together, like, oh, okay, why don't we do this? I can use this opportunity to get you. But you don't know what's going on until you actually find out what's going on. And that for me was what? She actually killed him. So that was the shocker and the surprise. And I loved that turn of events in Jael. Now, for somebody that was very deeply in church, I actually went to a church and we had a company of Jael after reading that part in the Bible, women that kill men, the enemy. So I that was hilarious to me, because he definitely was the enemy, right? Because you're with my friend, adult or not, you're trying to make a pass at me. And she sort of had this moral thing also going on in her. She was going to protect and serve with her bottle breaking and whatever. So yeah, sorry for that, but that was what I thought throughout this little girl. And then the grandmother was also hilarious. How you're looking at someone and you're like, okay, this person is mad, and you're having this running commentary in your head. That was the grandmother for me. She didn't quite know what to do with her granddaughter. So she was just like, let me pray to God and pray this girl doesn't injure me as well. So yeah, I found them. I love this book. Can I just say?
I can tell.
Because it was funny to me. So, I'm laughing here because I guess I was having my own thoughts about what was going on in the people's heads as I was being told what was going on in their heads. So I'm done.
It's true.
I just want to say, Omolara, that's exactly how I was feeling reading the book. Like, technically, that woman is a great grandmother, but the part that killed me really, and I know this is bad, but I laughed so hard, was when the woman when she was talking about how she fell, and Jael just stood over her, watching her, and she had to crawl to the couch to get to be able to. I'm sorry. When she had to crawl to the couch to kind of get back on her feet, and she's like, this child just stood over me, watching me. And in that moment, I could exactly. And in that moment, I was just thinking, I'm like, that woman must have been so terrified watching this child watch her struggle without lifting a hand. And that's when it hit me. I'm like, okay, maybe she could possibly have something not right upstairs, because there are just some things she does, like even in church, like the grandma was talking about, like she would sit in church and just have this really like quiet demeanor, and people are reaching out to her to say hi, and she's just like small smile, but she's living in her own world upstairs, right? The other thing that I thought about, and maybe this is also me just projecting too much further, is okay, yes, we can say we all agree that she did whatever she did to protect her friend, right? How far is too far? What happens when one day everything seems nice and nobody's in danger, but she decides that her friend is in danger even when her friend is not, and does something about it, right? So like I know it's far, but I thought about all of these things, and I'm like, yeah, if I was her grandma, I would be scared too. I'll be scared of this person. I don't even know which is why my first instinct was I would turn her in, because I don't know what's going on up there. I don't know how long before you snap.
And I'm
because
the target of the
yeah, exactly. Like if you even look through, like maybe if you watch all these crime shows and about like serial killers and stuff, the very first thing that happens is a snap, right? They have a trigger that makes them do it, and then if they feel like a high from it, then they start chasing this high and looking for things that are similar but not really, to kind of, and if we agree that she has like a vigilante kind of mindset, she's the only one deciding when something is wrong.
Yep.
Like she's the judge, jury, and executioner. Like I still don't like it, which honestly, I don't know. I still feel like I might turn her in if I was a grandma. But yeah.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah, I think
Quick question.
Yeah.
On Jael's story, did anyone think about Sula by Toni Morrison while reading Jael? Like if anyone has read Sula here.
I've not read any Toni Morrison. I'm gonna put down a t-shirt one day, but yeah, I haven't read any Toni Morrison. I will let anybody who has read Toni Morrison answer the question.
And with pride.
Anyway, she just really reminded me a little of Sula, because they were in a very similar situation where Sula watched someone die and just didn't do anything about it. She was just like, I'm just gonna sit and watch.
So I don't think Sula, I think Sula was stunned, was shocked to immobility. Not like this grandmother that I hate.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Sula was like,
I mean, please, is there a reason you haven't read any Toni Morrison?
I've just decided
like Sula
that
also
I'm
did
not
what
going
she
to.
wanted.
Oh, you're not going to, Anne.
The
The books
pressure
on your shelf, Nicole. Have you given them out?
I've given them out. The pressure is too much.
Right? Because too many people keep saying Toni Morrison, this, that, the other.
And I feel like by the time I eventually read any Toni Morrison, I'm just going to be like, so that's it. Because I'm not going to lie. I have read some excerpts of Toni Morrison's work and they felt a little bit dated. So I want to keep her in my head or in my mind as, the great classic writer. So I'm not going to just read at all.
So, I attempted Toni Morrison when I was in university. I won't tell you guys what year that was. And I sort of threw it away because I was like, this is over my head. I tried Beloved, but then I came back, as an adult and with deeper thoughts. And I'm not saying you don't have deep thoughts. I'm just saying for my personality, I couldn't take her at one point in life, but I've since calmed down a bit in this life. And yeah,
I feel like the time for me to read her is gone. Maybe if it was those days when when I'm reading, like I can write 5 pages on 1 page of a book. But now I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just here for fun, really. I don't want to think too far. I don't want to be stressed. I don't want to do critical analysis. I don't want to do comparative essays. I'm just here for a good time. And because I've not read.
You're here for a good time, and yes, you made us read My Dad, Vanessa.
I don't know when you're going to let this go, Omolola, but you kind of have to let it go, okay? We're about to enter 22. I don't want this energy in 2022, please. I'm working hard. And I feel like December has already made up for November. So okay. So we have come to the end of book chat. Does anybody have like final thoughts about the book, what it meant to them? Did your eye open in any like new, did it open your, what's the English? Did it open your eye in any aspect of life? Yes, that's the question. Or is that, I'll go with you then, Amala.
I have a question, sorry.
Okay, okay.
I have a question. I don't know if anyone think that in Peach Cobbler, the pastor that the mom was, why are you laughing? I have a question.
Oh
Does
God.
anyone think that maybe the pastor could be the father of the girl?
I had the same thoughts too. God will honor you for bringing this up. I had the same thoughts. Yes.
Can I say something? It occurred to me, but I don't think so, because the mother wouldn't have pushed her. I don't know, but the mother didn't know she was sleeping with the guy, Abby. So that you're bringing incest into this thing. No?
Yeah. And that fits into back.
I don't think
like church story gossip.
Yeah, but
incest is definitely
like
somewhere.
Church stories things, because people, you don't know that you've heard all these stories now, even in white culture, in white American culture, where you end up finding out that your neighbor that you have been crushing on is actually your half brother, because your mom and his dad had one something. Yeah, so yeah, I definitely suspected, especially because why did she insist on, but then what I was worried about was women. There's no way the wife would not have clocked. Like, she would not have wanted around the wife, because the wife may have noticed similarities. Or don't you think so? Like, wouldn't the wife have seen that, oh, this person is my husband's child? Although she wouldn't have been looking for it.
Honestly,
I don't even
there are cases where you are not. Yeah.
I don't think the wife noticed anything at all, actually, from the way she's been described in the book.
Like, she seems oblivious to life.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
I don't think she noticed anything other than carrying out her duties as a pastor's wife.
Yeah.
What I thought was maybe the mom was pushing her, go to the house, tutor the child. Maybe you can benefit, maybe as a child of the pastor. That was what I was thinking. I don't know if anyone thought the same thing.
No, I thought her mom pushed her to go just so she could get like insight onto what kind of life they were living.
Yes, that's what.
Because I think it's a life she wanted but couldn't get.
Yes.
So she wanted her daughter to go in there and come back and give her the download of everything she saw, everything they did, which is why she was always like, what did you eat? Just sandwiches. Oh, I know she cannot cook. I think that was it. But I actually really dismissed the thought of her being the pastor's child, because my brain just could not handle that. I'm like, nah. I refuse to believe that.
I get it. Oh, Regina, this is your first time joining book. I've not seen this name.
No, it's my second time, but both times I've been late. I'm in the States.
And
we changed times.
Okay.
And so with the time change, I was late again.
Okay, you're welcome.
I'll get it right one time. But she's not the pastor's child. It actually comes up in the story because she thought that was her dad too. She wondered if that was her dad. And right when she was thinking about that, her mom was just like, no, but he's just like your dad. And talking about, the shiftless nature of him and how selfish he is and only thinking about himself and not others. But
what if that was like a tongue-in-cheek thing though?
I don't think it was.
Okay.
I think she was serious because the author, the way she dealt with that, it was just like, nope. But it's like, it very well could have been. And that was the point. I think that was supposed to mess with our heads. It's just like, it could have been, but it wasn't. Okay. And the life she could have had. Because mom was just she was just spying on the family. Like, She's like, she wanted to know everything that was going on over there.
Okay. Oh, Isaiah, your hand was up, but it's down now. But okay, I think we have come to the end of book chat. I mean, I was going into that point because I like violence and I like drama in this kind of things. But yeah, that's just me. I can handle. See, I've not seen what I cannot handle. Honestly, I'm yet to see what I cannot handle in a book. Just pile it on. Sometimes I'll close the book and be like, oh, the fuck? I mean, that happened with me when I read A Little Life this year. I was like, okay. I was prepped by lots of people like, oh, you're going to cry. Oh, you were going to cry. And then my mind went into overdrive and I recreated like some gruesome scenes. And the book did not come to up to 50% of what my mind had come up with. So A Little Life fell short for me. But I get that it's interesting what the human spirit can go through. But yeah, that was a digression. So we have come to the end of book chat. I am wishing everybody a Merry Christmas in advance, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and all the serere. Does anybody have any gist for me? Because this is the end. This is the final chat of the year.
Our Christmas party, since you are wearing Father Christmas hat.
I'm sorry, I can't hear what you said. The line was way off.
I mean,
Lola, I cannot hear what you're saying. Can someone translate it to English, please?
you came as Father Christmas, so I thought give away.
No, I came like to bring like the Christmas vibe. Because to be honest, I'm not smelling it in the air. I'm not feeling it at all. So I just thought maybe like if I recreate a Christmas cheer atmosphere, then I will be able to send it out to you, and then maybe you people can send it back to me. And I
see Bukola opening a box. Is that for us?
I was just about to ask the same thing, Lola.
What is that? Oh, book mail. You have book mail.
Yeah, Amazon guy just came to the door. Can you imagine? 5:20 on a Sunday evening.
Wow. I like
book mail. Sorry.
Okay.
We don't like Jeff, but we like how he gives us next day delivery.
Next day delivery. You can't beat that with a stick.
Exactly. Sorry.
Fantastic.
Okay, you guys. So that's it. We all know what we're reading in January. The author is going to be joining us for book chat.
She will?
Yes, she will be joining us for book chat. So
what's the January book?
We're reading Pleasant View by Celeste Mohammed.
Oh, that was so good.
Book.
Okay. I just finished that one. Okay.
Oh, okay. Now I should go get myself a copy.
Yeah. It's
From one short story to another short story.
I mean, do you know what I like about this one though? It's a short story, but it's not exactly a short story because it's still a novel. Because the characters are all in one space, and it's one it's just a cast. Because it's not exactly it's a novel in short story format, but the characters flow within the stories. It's the same setting. It's the same duration, a bit time, and it's genius what she did with it. I really like it.
So it's like a mix between these ghosts are families and Frying Plantain, like something like that.
Please don't mention Frying Plantain.
I don't think.
Please don't mention Frying Plantain.
Yeah, don't mention Frying Plantain here. I can give you another option.
That book is a catfish.
I watched book for 2021.
Oh man,
what's that?
Please don't bring up Frying Plantain.
I even fried plantain expecting the book to be good.
No.
All right, you guys.
Let's not go there.
We shall continue the madness in the group chat.
Okay.
Thank you all for joining in.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Happy holidays.
Happy